problem is that we're not
Blacks
telling
here in
the
this
kids
city have
starting
made
to use
significant
drugs earlier
contributions.
in life than they ever have.
I could sit here and just listen to that music for about 5 minutes. That's a nice little jazz jam. Welcome to Minority Focus. I'm your host, Jimmie Moore. Don't get to sit down and chat very often with one of my very good friends and a friend of the community around Paducah, Richard Abraham. What up? What up? What up?
How you doing, man?
Doing all right.
We were talking before we went on. It's been a while since I sat in this chair across from one of my close personal friends.
Well, see, you know, you're a busy man. You always have been a busy man. It's hard to catch you anyway.
Yeah, that's what my dad always said. Grown folks work, man.
See, I thought after the last time, I thought, well, I'll let him chill for a while. I'll let him run. I'll give him a little space, a little air. But after a while, I'm going to have to get him.
Yeah, you know, I had to store up on some data so we'd have something to talk about.
I hear. What's up? What's up?
Well, after 2 months, I it's almost crazy, man, that it's been like 8 years since I was downtown and just sitting back and being observing things and just being a part wherever I can be a part to help the community, help my community, help Paducah as a whole, just do some things. And then just getting older and wiser and learning from some stuff, you know. And that all goes into the fabric and it makes a better me, I think.
Right. I know you're busy at school at Tilghman.
Yeah, we have, I'm entering, I think, my 9th year there. And my role there is kind of diverse, kind of like the student body there at Tilghman. I'm a teacher's assistant with Miss Jackie Patterson, and but also I do the one way to play. It's a part of FCA with the football team on Thursdays, and Coach Thomas gives me, about 7 minutes on Thursday to talk to the guys. I tell them I only need 6, and talking to them about, making good decisions, not only just football-centered stuff, but try to talk about things that transcends from football to life in the classroom, and that works well. And then just, working through the dean's office, trying to help those 16 to 17-year-olds that think they know everything, kind of like we all did. But
of course.
I enjoy it, and the personal training, all of that. I tell my wife all the time, I've been very blessed. The jobs that I've had to this point has all been jobs that I'm passionate about, and it's not like, dreading to get up and going to work. I enjoy doing it. So.
No, there's this. Odd you would mention that because in the last few days I've seen 2 movies on television about what you just mentioned, about talking to the football players and carrying the things that they learn, some of the things they learn into life and whatever. The flick with Samuel L. Jackson in it, where he's a basketball coach.
Oh, Coach Carter.
Coach Carter. Saw that the other day. And then there's another one about these guys in a detention center or whatever. This guy named Rock.
Yeah, gridiron game.
Like the Mustangs, football.
Yeah.
And that same kind of lesson teaching.
Yeah, isn't it ironic that given the fact that some of the things that's happened in the media with some of our professional athletes, Michael Vick, Pat Man Jones, some of these other guys, that you look at films like that and then you realize that, when you don't have that type of intervention at some level, then there's possibilities these things could happen. If you look at athletes like the ones I just mentioned, but then you look at some of the other young people about that age, Britney Spears, Lindsay, I forget her last name, but they're all about that same age. And now Michael may be a little bit older than that, but you look at that and you think something is definitely missing in the fabric. And so when you have an opportunity to work around young people and you see those things going on in the media, that's happening right now. Those influences are going on right now. So every day you have an opportunity to try to intervene and try to talk to a child, present their situation, because they can't see to the end of the week, man. They're so living in the moment, They're big deal. I mean, if I can just get out of the blue room without losing my mind, that's something that I've accomplished. So every day gives an opportunity to try to work in a positive light with them.
I know you. I'm thinking about young people in their 20s, early 20s, late teens, early 20s. Ain't got no business with no $500 million. It ain't gonna happen right.
Well, you know, John Thompson, the coach at Georgetown, and you know, he was pretty Bill Cosby-ish in his thinking on some things, and he said, you know, what scares him most is that you have these young men on college campuses, football players, basketball players, and they pass the physical look. You know, they pass a look test. They're 6'8", 6'9", running a 4.3 nothing. You know, got all the talent in the world. They some of them don't go to class, but they're on the field playing. He said, but what scares him most is that these very guys, as immature as they are, will be walking around New York City or Chicago or Philadelphia with $1 million in their pocket.
Yeah.
That's a scary thought, Jimmy. I mean, because, you know, what can't they do?
I know you can relate to, not to $1 million and some of the,
or the 4.3
stuff
nothing.
they go.
No. I never ran that fast, but
I'm talking about being able to relate to stardom. I mean, you know, that beautiful career at Tilghman and then, you know, Kentucky. You can identify with what it's like to have all
talk
this.
slow, brother. Talk slow. Talk slow. I mean, you know, I really think when I was at University of Kentucky, our coach, Fran Kersey, was the coach, and he kind of talked to the freshmen about dealing with the media, and he said, look, you can't live with them and you can't live without them.
Yeah.
He said, but you got to understand how the roles are. He said, if you know, a person, the media, the guy with the mic, it's his job to get information. So he'll want you to talk. He wants you to talk. Now they got a little room that they take that tape to, and then they sit down and they piece things together. Now you said it all, but you may not have said it in that order, right?
Exactly.
He said, but understand this, gentlemen, you're the expert. If you sit down and someone interviews you about a particular topic, football, or how the team going, or whatever, you're the expert.
Yeah.
So you give the information. You know what information you want to give, and then you cut it off. I mean, so that was back in the fall of '79, and every interview that I've given since then, that's always the forefront of my mind. Okay, you know, I know what you want. You want information, all right? You know, so, you know, it's an even playing field there. So, and then you run into those guys who just issue statements too. Here, there you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, see, some of these, you know, some of the people, some of the stars, sports and otherwise, or whatever, I don't understand. You know, I don't understand the mentality of people who feel this overwhelming need to know what goes on in the life of people they do not know. You know, have never met, will never meet, etc. Like I remembered standing in a bank line one day, and they've got these televisions up, you know, just for entertainment or whatever. And all of a sudden, newsflash: Brittany's going to hospital.
Right.
Newsflash: Paris is getting out of jail. That's no newsflash. I mean, who cares? I mean, you know, what is it that I'll never understand that. You know, it's not important, but you know, they're out there.
Well, it's all marketing, man. And the reason I say that is like we live in an age where it's all instant. I mean, you can get on the web and you can be wherever you want to be right now. I mean, it's all like right now. And unfortunately, those celebrities and their lives, we sit back and we fantasize, some of us fantasize about, man, that must be really cool to have all those resources available. And when they go through some stuff that you just went through last week, you're thinking, okay, you know, so she's got problems. It's not something we should celebrate, but I think, you know, as long as ET television is on and the guys come out and talk about this is a big story, I guess folks are going to tune in.
People just want to watch that stuff. You know, OJ didn't do that.
Yeah. Oh man, come on. Which one? I mean, you know, it's you know. So
anyway,
okay, all right.
Don't go there.
Okay.
I'm curious. I don't have the touch that you have with some young people, a lot of young people in Paducah, What do you see? What are you seeing? What are they doing? How are they? Are they better? Are they worse? Are they stalemating? Or
Well, I'd like to report to Jimmie Moore on Minority Affairs that 99% of the kids are doing exactly what they're supposed to do. I mean, I'll put it this way. At Paducah Tilghman, we have about 820-something children in freshman, sophomore, and senior class combined. And that's up. It was a large freshman class. We got some transfers in. Mm-hmm. And I have this conversation all the time with young people. I had this conversation with a kid the other day. I said, you realize this kid was in trouble, nothing real serious, just kind of cutting up and had to go to ISD and, everybody's on him, everybody's out to get him. He actually think teachers set up at night to conspire against him, got his picture up, like that, I'm gonna get that kid on Monday. But the thing of it is, I said, man, do you realize that Paducah Tilghman High School is the most diverse school system, the Paducah City school system is the most diverse school system in Kentucky, right? I said, do you realize that 90% of the young people that go to this school never come to the dean's office for disciplinary reasons. Right. They never get suspended. They never serve detention. They never have to go to ISD. I said, the majority of the kids that go to this school looks like you. I said, one parent at home, working like 9 jobs, right? I said, so, you look around and you're like, you don't have to, there are some role models your own age right in here. But we have a group of young people that are struggling. They're struggling. And it just didn't start when they got to Tilghman, right? I mean, they've been struggling for a minute. Now, the blame can be spread around. It probably the school system has something to do with that. Parents definitely have something to do with it because that's their first teachers, And when the nurturing is taken out of the fabric, and you go on and sew that suit, man, it's going to rear its head again. I was listening to ESPN radio the other morning, and Colin Cowherd does a show on there, and he was talking about people saying, what's the most important thing that you can give a child? And some people say love, and that's important, and some people says resources. But he said one of the things that he feels, in his opinion, was self-esteem. Because the money comes and goes. Right. Maybe the person you love decide they don't love you anymore.
Exactly.
What are you going to do then? If the self-esteem is where it needs to be, then yeah, you're going to take some shots. But at least you will try to pick up that script and step on stage for the school play. You may not be good at it at all, but then again, you might find out something about yourself. Exactly. So bottom line is, our kids are kids. They're going to push the envelope, and those responsible adults that are in those positions of authority, let them know that's as far as that goes. Right. If you push it any further, there's consequences for your actions. Right. But by the same time, understanding that they are teenagers and they're going to make some bonehead moves. Exactly. So as hard as the discipline has to be, you also have to have the pat on the back to realize that, okay, this conversation that we're having right now is not to chew you out, but to help you the next time. And so they have to listen.
I know I used to tell my children's mother, or I used to say to her when they would do something or get into trouble or whatever, she could really hype about it, and she'd be ready to kill them and all that. And I'd always say...
Really? That sounds familiar.
Well, But I'd always say, don't forget that you were that age once, that you did some things too. Remember, you came this way, and they're going to come that way. You can't put no halos on them.
Man,
they're going to, like you just said, they're going to push they're going to push it.
I know, but I really think moms and dads handle things a little different. Because I know, and we can speak about this because we have children, and we've experienced that. And my girls used to set me up, man. You know, I mean, they would come in and ask for things that they know that they. I'm thinking it's the first time they're asking about it, and I'm like, sure, go ahead, have 2 or 3 of them. You know, what they're cookies. I mean, and then Cindy would come in and go, "What are you doing? Eating it?" Daddy said I could have it. I'm looking like I've been set up. Right. I mean, you know, but I think we handle things a little different. My wife Cindy, she's pretty intense when it comes to certain things, right? She probably thinks I'm not intense enough, right? But I got daughters that are my oldest daughter is getting married in April, and my youngest daughter, you know, she's 15, will be 16, and you know the boys they start coming around as friends, you know, and but they're afraid of me, you know, and I'm thinking, guy, you don't know, I'm not the bad one, I'm not the mean one, man, you know, but we'll let him go with that.
Right. You know, it's just. It seems like when I was growing up, I was aware of things around me, but I don't remember ever hearing a lot about or reading about the directions that people give now for child raising. It's like you just fall in there and you do the best you can because you don't know what you're doing. You can't know what you're doing because you never did it before. But nowadays there's something to read. There's all kinds of instructions on do this with the kid, don't do that with the kid. I don't remember hearing all that stuff when I was growing up.
Let me give an example to the viewers about what you're talking about. I grew up up until I was 12 years old, lived in Tennessee, and then we moved to Paducah. I remember growing up, there was always a shotgun in the corner or above the mantle, okay? There were no lock boxes, right? And my dad and my grandfather, and I don't ever remember them telling us twice, that is not a plaything, don't mess with it, okay? I didn't even use the telephone till I was like 7, I think, 8. I thought that was a thing on the wall that grown folks use. You pick it up and you get the operator, you think the police is coming. I mean, you know, that type of thing. But I think a lot of things have been desensitized with our guys now. You know, the video games. I mean, they got games out called armed robbery or something.
Run over people.
Oh, yeah. Just
how many people can you run over?
Carjackings. And so, you know, these guys actually got video games where kids are holding guns, shooting. So, you know, all of a sudden, you know, me holding this, and that's not so, that doesn't feel weird. That feels pretty natural. So I guess there's a different time, the whole different time period. And so somebody came out and said, you know what, maybe we need to write a book and get it to these people to let them know that it's not okay for your kids to touch guns, you know, or this or that. And, you know, it sells books, and you have experts on TV every morning on Today's Show talking about, you know, if your kid's got a fever of 105, you might want to take them to the doctor, you know. It's like, okay.
Yeah, the old folks even didn't play that. He just slapped something on you and whatever. But anyway, I often mention some people back then were, you know, were in touch with how to deal. Because I often make mention of a lady whose name I've never known that resided in Elmwood Court, that out of her house, 2 of her sons became Rhodes Scholars. You know, do you know who I'm talking about? Do you remember that? I've never known her name.
Yes. Matter of fact, well, maybe. I know there was a lady that lived in Thomas Jefferson Court, and I graduated with 2 of her children, Mrs. Johnson. Earl Johnson was her son, and he had a younger brother, and he's in one of the Hall of Fame. He's at the Academic Hall of Fame over at Tilghman. And I'm telling you, man, you know, this lady, she had 4 children, 3 children. Earl, Gregory, and I think it was Susan. And she's single parent, raising those kids. She was a crossing guard and a teacher's aide at McNabb. And she worked and she raised those kids, and you would see them walking around town, getting from A to B, okay? Those kids grew up and they are very successful. So you go, what's the magic potion there? What separates those kids that are growing up in a place where some negative things that happen. Maybe you're living right next door to a single parent with the same amount of kids, working probably the same type of job, maybe doing a little bit better, and their kids are always into something. What's the difference? What separates that? And I really believe that as parents, we have to realize that to give our kids a shot in this crazy world, man, you have to put that time in, and you have to sacrifice some things for self so they can have some things. And that has to be, you don't have to have a lot of money. These things that you instill early, they don't cost anything. It takes some time. And we talk about it all the time. Being a responsible parent is rough. It is hard.
Tell me about it.
You don't want to go up to the school, but you got to go. You don't want to ground that kid, but you got to ground them.
Yep.
You don't want to take things away, but you got to do that so that, I tell them, hate me now, love me later. I'll be okay.
Right.
So, and I think as the kids get older, I think some of your kids, the older kids, they can think back, whether they admit it or not right now. I think you have to get about 30, 35, then you start going, you know what, Mom, you was right.
Yeah.
It takes a minute. But, they'll admit, I really could have saved myself a lot of headache if I'd have listened.
Yeah. I had a sister that passed a couple of years ago. And some of the best times that we had were sitting on the phone or in each other's presence,
Mm-hmm.
and sharing some of the things we learned that we didn't pay any attention to
Yeah.
back then
Right.
with our mom.
Yeah.
Reminiscing about the lessons that she taught, the different things that she said to us,
Mm-hmm.
to help us to get better, that we weren't paying attention to then.
Right.
But a perfect, for example, in 7th grade English class, we had to learn a poem, A Prayer for Every Day by Mary Carolyn Davies. Long poem. And I remember my mom pushing me to sit down and study, take time to learn. You better learn that poem. But she'd always tell us, you don't get up and read things, you learn them.
Right.
She wanted me to learn that poem. I learned it. And it was 4th grade in English class. I think I got a B, something like that. Years later, in 12th grade English class, I sat beside a bookcase, and I looked and saw a 7th grade English book. And I pulled it out for no particular reason. I started fanning through it and saw that poem, closed the book, and every word of it. Every single.
Because it's in there,
I say
man.
it today.
It's in there. My oldest daughter, we started homeschooling my oldest daughter around 4th grade. And that was an adjustment,
Imagine.
And so I remember one day Cindy told me that she had a hard time with Townley that day because she was giving her some English to do. And Townley announced that she hated English. She didn't like it. She didn't like anything about it. She wasn't going to do it. So what did Cindy? Now, I probably would have started, doing the daddy thing. What did Cindy do? Made her memorize grammatical rules, right? Jimmy, to this day, hand this girl a document. She will break it down. She knows that. ACT on the English part blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
And so, you look back on those things and you appreciate the parent taking time, making me do something that I did not want to do it, but I'm so glad that they didn't let me quit because I accomplished that.
Right.
And that goes into the fabric, man.
Yeah, I'm here. So many things that she taught us. I remembered the saying that children of ministers and teachers are usually the worst kids in the bunch because they've got something to prove or whatever. Not true.
Yeah.
My mom taught school 39 years.
Yeah.
And I was not out there carrying on.
Well, you know what? That's one of those things you hear growing up. And the reason, why they say that, well, if you're a minister's kid or a teacher's kid, oh man, or you're homeschooled, you won't be able to go out and do anything. So when you turn that age, you're gonna go buck wild. Well, you know what? If you think about it and you sit down with reasonable people and you talk about instilling those values and self-respect and self-esteem, why all of a sudden would a person just go out and everything that's in them decided, you know what, I'm going to get drunk and I'm going to get behind a car and do some crazy stuff just because. doesn't make any sense. And so, but that's one of those things that folks like to talk about.
See, I remember reading a story when I was young about a little boy who was always clean, you know, super clean, squeaky clean. One day he decided he wanted what it was like to be dirty. So he climbed down in the coal bin to play for a while. And when he got done, he had to wash his hair, take a bath, put on more clothes, and he decided being dirty is too much trouble.
That's right. Yeah, you got court calls, you got a mugshot, you know, yeah, it's way too much trouble, man. So you save yourself a lot of time and grief. Just you know, you're not perfect, but you don't have to be, you don't have to get crazy.
Yeah, blessed be the child that has, a Christian background and upbringing and thinks along those lines.
Yeah.
Getting in trouble is too much trouble.
Yeah, just think, just think. And that's what we have to encourage our kids to do, to think. And, it helps. It helps. Everybody has a part to play. Right. And shows like this is good, man.
Right. You're a blessing. You've always been a blessing to me, you and your family. It's a joy to see you. One day I saw you and Cindy and your oldest daughter.
Tilghman.
I saw all three of you in the same day, and that was just a blessing. I love to just run up on you in public. I miss seeing you, and it's always a joy to see you. God's blessed you, and as He blesses, you are blessing.
Well, it's, you know what we do. It's like Chris Tucker said. We do what we can do when we can do it. I mean, it's not, it's no super family. We're working just like everybody else to instill those things in our children and have that ripple effect go out. And it's a day-to-day thing, man.
Keep on keeping on.
I'll try.
Me, brother.
All right, man.
All right. Come back again sometime, man, and sit down and chit-chat. I like this. See, this is great. I don't like formats anyway, really.
Yeah.
Formats. I can just talk,
we can do that. We can do. I always enjoy. You're a great interviewer, man, and it just flows. It just flows, yeah.
When we go back, it's like that. We got a lot in common from the past, church and
you're a little bit older than me. But
I never will forget singing a song one time, and at the very end of the song, there was a note that was impossible for me to hear, impossible for me to get. And you were sitting in the back of the church, and as that note time, I saw you raise up like this, like, is he gonna get it? Is he gonna get it?
I was rooting for you, man.
I
was rooting for you.
Plug it away.
For you. You hit it. I'm thinking, thank you, man.
I appreciate you being on, Rich. You got to come back as soon as you can, man.
Hey,
all right?
just let me know.
All right. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jimmie Moore from Minority Focus.